Before the arenas, before the awards.
This is b4Nashville Live. Have a question for our guest?
Send it to us via Messenger.
Here's your host, George Davis.
And welcome back to Before Nashville, where we introduce the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today. Joining me tonight, this guy is in Nashville by way of Beantown, Boston. And his name is now I'm going to mess this up, so bear with me. Chris Moreno or Moreno?
Neither. It's Marino, but you're right because it's spelt that way. But I'm Italian, so I say Marino.
Marino, okay.
Yeah.
So I told you I'd mess it up.
Everyone does. I expect it. So
I probably should have checked that before we went live. Then I would look more professional about it.
Yeah, that's okay. It happens all the time.
So Chris is in Nashville now, and quite honestly, I mean, he is just like tearing it up. He has got, I mean, the bio that I have is an older written bio, so I know it's got different numbers than what I have here, but looking at like more than 100,000 total monthly listeners to your music.
Yep, that's accurate. Yeah,
that is unbelievable, man. That is so awesome. Tell me a little bit about growing up in Boston and how you got into country music.
Yeah, sure thing. I grew up in the suburbs of Massachusetts, so about 40 minutes west of the city. So just kind of a nice small town thing. I was watching MTV from a young age, and I just was always knew I wanted to play guitar. I think I wanted to sing too. I just wasn't sure. I just knew I wanted to play guitar. Mm-hmm. So I started doing the band thing in like high school. It was always more rock based. I grew up really influenced by a lot of rock music and all genres of music, but particularly rock. And then there's a little bit of like a weird arc to my story because I stopped music for like 6 years post college. And then I restarted, and that's actually kind of when I started getting into country music. So I'm more of that new school flavor. I definitely don't pretend to, I'm still catching up on like the greats of country. I don't pretend to be more rooted in country than I am, but there's definitely a handful of artists that are big influences on me for sure. So.
Right. So growing up and you're, doing the band thing and doing the rock thing, how was that? I mean, how was the band? Were you pretty popular? Were you, making a name for yourself?
Yeah. So the first band in high school the name was Chaos with a K. So that gives you a little bit of an indication of the sound. The high school stuff, I was the guitarist. I wasn't the singer in a couple of them, and we were pretty good. Pretty good. I think we just didn't know how to ever get out of where we were. We just had no idea. And it was pretty talented. I listened back to some of the music, and I'm still pretty proud of that music. It just, yeah, we played and we did pretty well in the local shows, but it just maintaining a band is so hard, and just everyone, people start having kids, and just it just all kind of happened. And then I actually went away to college my second half of college. So I guess I was maybe responsible for the band breaking up. I don't know, but it all happens for a reason. But it was interesting. It was definitely some good like learning experiences, I would say,
Absolutely. So as you're growing up and you said that you went to your second path of college. What were you like originally when you were going to college? What was the idea at that point? What was your career of choice, and what classes and stuff like that were you doing?
Yeah, I was so into music in high school that I really did think that that's what I was going to do, and I was just a very average student. I didn't even know if I wanted to go to college, so I actually went to a community college out of high school. And I did that for, I think it was 3 years. I was working full time and had the band also. So I also kind of wanted to stay for the band to see where things went.
Right.
And so I was doing that. And as I mentioned, I just felt like I didn't know how to get this thing to go where we wanted it to go. And I was also kind of losing passion. And I think looking back that maybe it was because I wasn't singing. And so I went away to university. I really kind of buckled down. I got my grades up and I was like, all right, I'm going to go to college. This is what I'm going to do. So I kind of changed paths and then went to college, and then I got a sales job for monster.com. You may remember the job board site.
Right.
They're based in Massachusetts. So got a sales job right out of college, and I was doing that for kind of a while, actually. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And then you initially you weren't into the country thing, but then you kind of migrated that way. What were some of the steps that led you up to migrating to country music?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I always like growing up, I loved the more popular acts. Like I loved Rascal Flatts. I loved Keith Urban, um, Kenny Chesney. In New England, Kenny's like the biggest thing out there. So like we would go
Right.
to like Country Fest and stuff like that. And um, I think, yeah, it was like a slow, gradual transition into country music, I would say. And then 2016 is when I started releasing music, and I didn't really know where I fit. I just knew I had my influences, which were a lot of rock based stuff. And people would hear it and they say, it kind of sounds like newer country, just with like a rock edge to it. And at the
Right.
same time, I was getting into all these newer country acts. And then at a certain point, I realized like most of what I'm listening to now is like country. So like, then I started like getting into more of like kind of playing catch up a little bit on the older artists and stuff like that. But slowly but surely, it just kind of eked its way into my music. And then by the time I released music 2 years after that in 2018, that's when it was clear that I was doing the country thing. It was like I started getting more storytelling into my writing. Um, so it was a really healthy balance of, a lot of the rock stuff can be a little bit vague lyrically, how it's written. And I really liked how country was like telling the story. But I think in my own thing, I like to leave maybe a little bit up to the interpretation as well. So I kind of think I have a hybrid. But yeah, as far as the country thing, it was really like the respect of like how it's a story. That's what kind of got me. I was
Right.
really like into that, and then you get into writing rooms and stuff like that, and you realize that's how people are writing. So yeah, definitely like eked its way in there.
Right. And I mean, also like you were talking about playing guitar in different bands, very prolific guitar player. I mean, that's kind of your, I guess your number two, as far as the singing and that, and then you get into the guitar playing. And
Yeah,
I've, listened to some of the stuff you do. You do a lot of stuff that I've listened to. Now, that's not including the newer stuff I've listened to, but a lot of the stuff that I listen to, a lot of acoustic based guitar.
sure, sure.
Is that
Yeah.
is that on purpose or is that just by happenstance?
Yeah, it's funny. I actually, as a kid, I only played electric, and then when I started writing songs later on, I picked up the guitar, but I started picking up the acoustic, and I just found that I could write songs a lot easier on the acoustic.
Mhm.
Um, but I think like my music has always been. I'm not afraid to admit that like my sound is almost like adult contemporary in a sense. It's like,
Right.
bands like Matchbox 20 were a big influence and Goo Goo Dolls. And so even though I grew up with all these influences, like literally like metal to like hard rock to rap to country, um, it's kind of evened out into this mature thing where it's like very radio accessible, but I try to just put my unique vision into it. And it's,
Right.
I don't try to overcomplicate it. I just try to connect emotionally. And actually, when I started playing shows, I told myself I was going to play hundreds and hundreds of shows, just me and on a bar stool with an acoustic guitar. And I
Right.
was like, I'm going to keep doing this until I can make strangers connect with me, like strangers who don't care. They're eating dinner, like just at a bar, and like just until I can get people to turn around and like take interest. That's what I wanted to do, and just figure out what the dynamics are from my voice to the guitar, and just on the most basic level, like figure out how to
Right.
do it. So
And I was listening on the way home today. I was listening to your Spotify playlist, and of course, one of my all time favorite songs is Tracy Chapman's "Fast Car," and
Hmm.
that was like
Oh
my
yeah.
very first song. And your interpretation, it's I would say about 95%. It's just like the original, and then you put a couple of your own little spins on it. You know, there's some notes in there you don't go as high on, but it helps with the interpretation of it because it keeps it to where it's you. I mean, it's not, you doing Tracy Chapman. It's Chris Moreno singing a Tracy Chapman song.
Yeah, yeah, that's thank you for saying that. Yeah, I've always connected with that song. I think people like to hear the opposite sex do a song. It's just that alone, their
Right.
ear's not used to it. So people are like, "Oh, that's interesting." And such an amazing song. I've always loved that song. Um, but yeah, I, I didn't start off doing covers, but over time I've learned the value in learning covers.
Right.
And the biggest compliment that I get a lot of times is because I still will do 3 hour cover. I call them cover shows. I do originals, but they're 3 hour bar gigs. I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's, um, I've sort of, I don't even think I set out to do it this way, but people just say they're like, I've had buddies of mine be like, dude, every song you do just sounds like you. Like it doesn't
Mhm.
matter what it is. And I take that as a compliment. Um, because I knew if I went down the path of like trying to really emulate exactly how people sound, I'd probably lose my originality and it would like interfere with the original artist pursuit. So I've kind of had success in just playing these songs as if I just wrote them, like just not. And like you said, I'm not changing a ton of the notes here, but it's just not trying to manipulate the tone of my voice to suit what what people think it should be. It's just
Right.
try to make it authentic.
Right. Sorry, I just happened to look over and we've got 17 messages already.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I forgot to check on the thing myself.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, shout out to people for tuning in. I
Yeah,
haven't
we got
even.
Susan and Kristen and Bonnie and Sharon and Natasha and Hank, a buddy of mine from Tampa, Florida.
Okay,
He's on here, and Jason Krantz. Um,
love it.
Jason, Jason wants to know if you want to be like me when you grow up. Or
Hey,
maybe that's George Jones. I don't know. It just says George. It could be interpreted a lot of Georges.
hey, sure. Hey,
My buddy Mark Perkins is on here. Melissa. There's so many people. Thank you all for tuning in and hanging out with us.
yeah.
And as I was listening to your music, one thing that came to my mind was your vocals. I mean, you've got like this. I'm from the South, so I would say you've got like I- I'm not trying to be weird, but you've got like a butter voice. It's like smooth.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
so smooth. And it's not like in your face or I mean everybody sings the slower songs, and I think that a lot of people try to do that, but you have a unique voice and a very cool smoothness to it that just makes it like something I could listen to all day long.
Oh, cool. That's Thank you, man. I appreciate you saying that. I
Yeah.
once I had I was I forget if it was an audition or something, but it was from my booking agent for colleges, and he said I had a whiskey soaked tone. I was like, oh, that's cool. I'll take that, whatever that means. But yeah,
Sounds
yeah,
like anyway.
it's and it's definitely like I think again like those like more 90s rock influences. I never sought to emulate any of that, but
Mhm.
I think it stuck with me from as a kid, and it doesn't leave. So whatever that tone is, it just is there,
Right. Well, I mean, I can hear like you were talking about your influences of the Goo Goo Dolls and Matchbox 20. I mean, I I've not seen one of your shows yet. Unfortunately, I do want to, but I was looking, and we'll talk about your shows coming up here in a bit. But I really I just feel like it's so um, any of their songs you could do. It's a very Rob Thomas feel to
Mhm.
it, I guess. I don't like to do that. I don't want to compare, one to another, but it's really it's just smooth. I mean, it's kind of like Sharon says, whiskey soaked tone. I like that. So, and that is true. It's got kind of that smoothness.
Yeah,
Um,
the Rob Thomas comparison is one I've gotten a lot, almost to the point where I'm like, all right, how do I not? I don't want to sound like I'm copying. How do I get away from that?
right.
Have worked with a few vocal teachers, and all that to say, it's just I've tried to just make sure that get as powerful of a tone as like kind of a clear tone. So my
Right.
tone has gotten a little bit clearer over the time, a little bit less of the breathiness thing that I was doing, like maybe in the earlier stuff.
Right.
Um, but in my opinion, a lot of people who grew up listening to Hootie and the Blowfish and Matchbox 20 and stuff like that, those people are now listening to country. And I think that
Right.
country has expanded a lot because that alternative rock umbrella, country owns that now. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it's and I love that. I love how country is just so many factions of it. And I think to me it makes sense. So I think I think there's a little bit of a niche there where it's like, people who grew up with that stuff, they're still craving that sort of vibe.
Right.
So I'm trying to give them that. I'm trying to give a newer take on that, my own new fresh spin on that kind of thing.
Right. And you do it really well. I mean, you do have that, that whole vibe of the I guess I would call it like adult alternative, like the
Yeah,
Matchbox 20 and Hootie and the Blowfish and,
yeah,
Goo Goo Dolls and that kind of stuff. It's not rock, but it's not elevator music either. It's just good music, just pure and simple, good music that you can sit back and enjoy and listen to all day long.
yeah.
Um,
Thanks.
so as you're going through the career and you're writing, you're playing, you're developing yourself, what would you say is the hardest thing that you've had to overcome in those areas of writing and becoming yourself to the point that people don't give you that comparison as much anymore? Not that you don't appreciate it, but you want to be Chris, you don't want to be Rob Thomas.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I mean, overall as an artist, I think one of the hardest things is just self-doubt. I think creatives can be it comes by nature, like we're introspective, right? So it's like we're very attuned with what people think and feel around us. And in the beginning, that can be, at least for me, like you just wonder if anything you're doing is that good. So and then I think over time, especially as you can see, like I'm lucky to have a people that are passionate about what I'm doing, and like that has given me confidence for sure. I always believed in my music, but it just becomes, to me, the more you do it, the more you see it,
Right.
people reacting to it. It's like now I'll go into a room, whether it's by myself to write or with other people, and I I'm confident enough to know that like my ideas are just as valid as anyone else's. It doesn't matter who I'm writing with, especially if we're going to be writing for me. And um, I just think it's a repetition thing. I just think that's the biggest thing I've learned about all this. It's everything's a skill. Everything takes reps. I think we're taught that these certain people are just born out of the womb, just like it's
Right.
all gonna come handed to them, and like that's far and few between. That's the minority, right? That the majority are just hard workers with some talent, but most importantly, the drive. So
Right. Developing and honing that talent, that's what it takes. And I think that you've done that really well because, I mean, it's pretty obvious tonight. You've got all kinds of people that are on here commenting and following and sending likes and hearts and stuff. And that tells me that, you came out of Boston and going back to your bio, you had a strong fan base there to start with, and now you've just expanded that beyond that because you've got people from everywhere that are listening.
absolutely, yeah, yeah. Can't have a podcast without mentioning TikTok too. I
Right.
think like I think literally like about a year ago, my monthly listeners were at between 5 and 10,000 on Spotify, and I mean,
Right.
not that the numbers are everything, but I mean, these are it's every stat is a person, and it's like just that. I mean, it was actually the fast car cover, but more so TikTok tenfold. I mean, the numbers
Yeah.
just shot up, and I just was like, wow, like it. That was really gratifying to see, like strangers reacting to your music, and the biggest compliment is just when people are like putting you on next to their favorite artist that is on the radio, and like that's
Right.
extremely validating. And so, um, slowly but surely getting there, and it's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's and I do try to refer to TikTok and social media because it's we started off with Facebook, and well, if you go way back, started off with MySpace, but that shows my age, so I probably need to skip that and get
No,
into
I was in there too, man.
and MySpace, you kind of had that availability as an artist to do stuff, and then Facebook come along, and it wasn't quite as um I guess artist friendly,
Yeah, you
you know?
not as many chances to go viral on there. Not
Right,
viral, but like get discovered and all that.
right, and you didn't have the opportunity to put the music on like you did with MySpace either, and I don't know
Exactly.
why Terry's laughing so hard, but she's laughing pretty hard. I guess it's because I said dating
What's up,
myself
Terry?
here.
Yeah,
But and then it kind of moved forward in Instagram. Instagram gave you kind of a better, like, quick shot of things, and now you got TikTok where it's 60 seconds, it's and less.
yeah,
And
less.
with the attention span of people nowadays, TikTok is perfect because they want that quick gratification. That 15 to 20 seconds is about all they want to deal with. I've read
Yeah,
where humans now kind of have the attention span of a goldfish. So,
it's
which
bad. I
is
know. I know.
like
I know.
2 seconds or something like that. But TikTok has made so many artists blow up.
Yeah,
And like you
it's
were saying, you just tenfold overnight, it seems like, and you've got so many more fans, so many people watching you. The likes on your TikToks or your lives, if you do them or anything like that, um, is
yeah. I
just,
I was initially like kind of resistant to it.
right.
Just it was more of a dancey thing or whatever when it first came out, and I was like, I only I just didn't want to do anything cheesy but I think for me, just having the business experience from my previous sales job that I mentioned, it's like, I look at music as if, eventually, sure, will I probably want a record deal? Yeah, I think especially in country, it's like, but who knows? I'm treating this as if no one's ever going to come and give me a handout. So it's
Right.
to have that opportunity. I've spent a lot of marketing dollars on ads, Facebook ads, and stuff like that to reach a new audience, and the amount of audience that you can reach, which this could go away in 6 months. I mean, this could
Right.
change anytime, and so the amount of new people that you can reach, I wish I just did it sooner, but it is what it is, and
Right.
it's pretty amazing. And some artists have insane numbers that are still independent, and I'm blown away by it in Nashville.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I have an artist I work with, and he was doing a live on Monday, and I didn't look at the viewership, but I know, like, on that live, there was 15,000 likes on that live, and I'm just like, "Dad gum," you know?
On your
And
on his lot. Wow, who was
yeah,
that?
on his TikTok. Jared Yunt is his name.
Okay.
He's from our area, and I somewhat kind of manage him.
Oh, okay.
And, I've never managed before, but, we got together, and so I've tried this, but he did a live this week, actually did one yesterday too, and I didn't get to stay on it very long, but, just seeing those kind of numbers, I mean, and it doesn't have to just be on a live, if you've got just a short little clip on there, and then just
Yeah.
I'm a numbers guy. I look at those because of, my day job is radio, and so I pay attention to the numbers, and that's just that's just how I am and who I am. So I always look at those to see how it's going. And like I said, I miss the people watching. I wish I would have paid attention to that, but it's so cool to see how TikTok has given artists a newer and more, um, I don't want to say accessible, but just a I would call it a bigger platform to be on than Facebook and even Instagram.
Yeah, I think well you just said something interesting, and though that's the word accessible, and I've thought this for a while now, but artists now are the veil's been lifted, right? It's like TikTok is vulnerable because just no matter what you're doing, it's a little more vulnerable than some of the other social media platforms, and it's you can't really just hide behind posting a photo once a month now. It's like fans want accessibility, and if you don't give it to them, they're just going to go to artists that do. So it's
Right.
interesting how that's changed, and I still see people sometimes trying to do like the keep their mystique to a certain level and stuff like that. And it's like, I just think the connection with the fans and like feeling like they know you and you know them is part of the fun, I think. And I've learned to embrace that overall.
I think that's one of the major things is when you have fans and your interaction with them. You can't be standoffish and,
Right.
all this other stuff. And it doesn't matter how big you get, how far up you climb the ladder, you still have to be accessible to those fans and cordial and stuff. I mean, I've met some artists that when I met them, I thought they were rude, and I'm just like, okay, well, that's that, and in radio, I'm not a cancel culture guy. So I'm not like, well, he was a jerk, I'm not going to play his music anymore.
Yeah, yeah. That's
You know?
that's good. I appreciate you not being down with the cancel culture because I'm not. So
No. And so I think it's so good that, you know, so many artists are that way. And this gives them the opportunity to, of course, with the last 2 years, it gives them a different opportunity to meet those fans and interact with them because, or the last, might as well say 2 years. Things have just been, really closed off with COVID and everything.
oh
So
yeah, yeah.
that makes it very, um, very different, for an artist. You're not used to that stuff.
No, no, you're right. And I guess in a lot of ways, I always look for the positives in any bad situation. For me, there actually were a lot of positives because I started doing things like live streaming every week. And, before that, I was on the road every weekend. But I think I've met and built way more fans doing this than I would have if I just played every single weekend nonstop. So now
Yeah.
I have more of a balance. Um, so yeah, it's been hard a couple years mentally for everybody, but there's definitely been some positives
Right.
that have come through that for me without a doubt.
Well, and with the fan base that you have in the Boston area, I mean, it's hard for you to get up there to play, and it's hard, at
Yeah,
times. I'm not saying it's always hard, but it's not something you can just jump in the car and drive up to and do a gig and then turn around and come back.
no, no.
So you get to where you can still interact with those fans. They can still follow what you're doing, and they can do that on all your social media, which is great. But I think the timeliness of the TikToks is a little bit better, for doing just that.
Hmm.
And with the lives and that kind of thing. So that's always cool. Speaking of the music, and before I get into this, there's a couple of things I want to address. First off, we have some mutual friends, and I want to give a shout out to them because I don't know if they're watching tonight. But Annie Probst, who
Oh yeah.
is from your area, and Stephanie Ryan, and also Lissa Coulter. So I don't know if either of those ladies are watching, but we're huge fans of all of them. Annie
Yep.
and Stephanie. Annie has played at a show that we put on last summer to help out veterans, and she and the band came down from the Boston area and played it
Oh
live.
wow.
We got to hang out with her, and that was such an awesome thing. And Stephanie, we were hoping to have her at another show, and due to just some things happening, that show didn't happen. And Lissa, I've interviewed her on the show and really like what she's doing as well. So it's kind of cool about that. You know, they're
Yeah,
just, you know,
Annie played or she just hopped up a little bit on my I had a going away EP release party, but also a moving to Nashville party in 2018. And
okay.
she was a part of that actually. And Lissa, I hang out with Lissa all the time, and Stephanie's great as well. So
Yeah,
yeah, great
Steffi's
girls.
really cool. And then your publicist Nicole, I want to give a shout out to her and wish her a happy belated birthday. And we'll do that on the
Oh
podcast.
yeah, I love Nicole. Yeah,
And
great.
she's been one that I worked a lot with, and she works with a lot of the artists that I know as well. So that's pretty cool.
Okay.
But so we've we've got some connections there too, which is I didn't even find that out until today when when we were talking and you said that, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I went did a little deep dive on your podcast.
mm,
And you've had some great people. I've recognized a bunch of the names, and
yeah,
that was good.
I
Great
think
stuff.
Houston Barnard, he's from up around that
Oh yeah, no
area.
Houston. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, he's
Oh yeah,
from up. He's been on.
yeah.
Um, and it's just, I mean, we've had a lot of great people on the podcast, a lot of very, very talented people. Um,
Yeah, New England is pretty impressive as far as what they deliver for the country scene. It's
oh,
crazy.
and that was one of the discussions that I had, with Annie especially, because people think about New England in that area and they're going, well, there's not a lot of country music up there. But then when you get down to it, you're going, okay, there are a lot.
You know what? You know what's so funny? I'll just say this too. I first released in 2016, as I mentioned, the my first body of work or second body of work, and then I could never find a home in Boston. I was like, I don't know where I fit in. I don't fit in the scene. I knew that. And
Right.
then like a year or two later, um, first off, the local radio stations are great down there, and I got in touch with a group that had all the Nashville. It was called New England and Nashville. It had all the Boston artists. Some of them go back and forth, and I was like, wow, this is it right here. This is where I belong. And then I got introduced to all these artists, and that just opened my eyes to like, yeah, this country is the direction right now for sure. Like,
Right. I mean,
oh, great.
it's so wide reaching. I've looked and followed some that I haven't got on yet, and I'm going, man, this is just it's a hotbed. I mean, it really is for country music. Of course, Kenny, like you said, Kenny is super big up there, and every time he's up there, he's playing at Foxborough. Of course, he loves the Foxborough Stadium, and he loves the Patriots and all that. And we'll
Yeah.
forgive that. I'm sorry, I'm not a Patriots fan. Forgive
Hey,
me.
no, if you're not from there, it's
Right.
everyone's bitter. I get it. It's fine.
Right. If you know, you know. And
Yeah.
it's not that I'm not a Patriots fan, it's more that I was never a real Tom Brady fan. I guess that would be the
See,
better way.
we could debate here. I'm just gonna let it go. All right, let's
Yeah,
I don't want to start this because I can go for like 10 minutes here.
that's a whole nother podcast. We'll have
Yeah, we'll see.
another podcast. And but I mean, no, it's great. I love what's coming out of the New England area as far as the music goes. I mean, there's so many great artists. And speaking of things coming out of the New England area, we need to play your song because we're gonna, we've got some other things to talk about. So before we do that, real quickly, the Before Nashville is being brought to you by Go Tuners. They're the go-to tuners for professional amateur musicians alike. They've got this fantastic green you're in, red you're out technology that when you tune it, you know, if you're green, you're in. If you're red, you're out of tune. You tune some more. We're also being brought to you by Civies Apparel, worn by heroes, made with respect. I have one of my Civi shirts on. Get out of the way of the microphone here. There we go. This part right here is actually a worn military uniform, and they do that on all their stuff, whether it's hats, hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts. They do it on all, and they also give back to organizations that help out veterans, and that's super awesome. One more, and then we'll get to the music, and that is Heart to Heart Coffee. If you're a coffee drinker, you have to check them out. Heart, the number 2, Heart Coffee, spell out Heart, the number 2, heartcoffee.com. They're an amazing veteran owned business, and 15% of what you purchase from them also goes back to different charities, things like the Children's Heart Association and things like that. And you can pick what charity you want your 15% to go to, whether it's a single bag or you do a subscription, whatever you do, it all goes back to a charity that you pick. So some fantastic sponsors that we have on now. That I'm out of breath saying that. Let's get to Chris Moreno. This is called Live Without. It's on b4Nashville. We're introduce the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today.
I wrote a song with tales of heartbreak long ago. Through the ripped up pages and a meaning still unknown. You read between the lines, brought the story back to life, and now I realize that all this time you're everything I dream about, and every song I'm singing now, I'm looking for you in the crowd. It's clear how you turn my world around, and I feel you in everything that I do. Baby, you took every doubt, and I figured out I was waiting on someone that I can't live without. You came in like a fire right at the cold, living a halo that matches your heart of gold. And you set me with your light, like a lantern in the night, leading me home. And now you know you're everything I dream about, and every song I'm singing now, I'm looking for you in the crowd. It's clear how turn my world around, and I feel you in everything that I do. Baby, you took every doubt, and I figured out I was waiting on someone that I can't live without. I can't tell you all the times you crossed my mind, and every time I close my eyes and say goodnight. You're everything I dream about, and every song I'm singing now, I'm looking for you in the crowd. It's clear how you turn my world around, and I feel you in everything that I do. Baby, you took every doubt, and I figured out I was waiting on someone that I can't live without. Waiting on someone that I can't live without. Oh, baby, I can't live without. Yeah, baby, I can't live without.
That was Chris Moreno and Live Without. So tell me, where did the song come from? What's the backstory on that song?
Yeah, that one came. I went through a breakup a little bit before I moved to Nashville in Boston, when I was living in Boston, and that relationship has infiltrated a lot of my songs. When we broke up, it was a kind of a good the light dawned, and I was like, this is a good time to move to Nashville. This is the time to do it. But I kind of carried that with me a little bit, and wrote a bunch of songs about it. I wrote that song well over 2 years ago, and I wasn't sure that song was ever going to get cut, but shout out to Vicky. She actually sponsored that song, and it was kind of a fan favorite for a while, and I thought it was time to finally record that one. And sound wise, I think that song is probably the most like adult alternative, like we were talking about. That's very much on that level. I have other songs that are definitely more popular, some that are more rock, some that are more country than that one too. But yeah, it's just to me that's a a love song. It's about addressing the heartbreak that you had, and then finding that person that's going to make what you went through all kind of worthwhile. Is
Right.
what it meant to me. Yeah.
And do do you find that your writing, because you talked about how this breakup had kind of infiltrated your writing, is that still a part of it, of the writing that you're doing, or have you kind of moved
Yeah,
on from that?
yeah, and that's the funny thing. Yeah, I've moved on from it. The funny thing is the single coming out tonight is about the same kind of relationship. And that's another one. Again, I wrote that over a year ago, but sometimes by the time they see it the light of day, it's like it's something you went through a long time ago. But to me, I'm still at that point where I really just like try to draw on personal situations. And so every song I've ever written is something I've lived. And so if the inspiration strikes and I think I have a unique way of saying something, like for instance, this song coming out tonight is about breakup, and um this one actually hit over 1 million total views on TikTok, and the song's not even out.
Right.
And what's awesome is just even though I don't feel that way right now, it's so cool because so many people are dealing with heartbreak, and it's like to see them react, and like if I can make their day better or something that they can like confide in, like that is why I do music. And so I don't care if I lived it 10 years ago. If I'm inspired in a short enough time frame just to capture it and release it, I'm gonna do that. Um, but I also have happier songs that are about to get released too. So
Right.
just putting it out there.
It's not all heartbreak and tears.
Oh no, no, definitely not. Definitely not.
And I if there was one song, okay, that you sit back and you go, man, why did I not write that song?
Mm.
What song would that be?
Oh man, there's so many. Um, I mean, so it's probably Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls, but I feel like we've given a lot of time and effort into talking about 90s rock here, and I don't want to sound like that's all I listen to, but like I don't know, to me it's just the most simple, beautiful song ever written. So I'm just
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
say it's that. It's that song. It's just I mean, that song was the biggest song of that year for a reason. It's I'm always striving to create that, you know.
Yeah.
So
There's nothing wrong with the 90s rock stuff. I mean,
oh yeah, yeah.
I enjoy a lot of that stuff too. I don't listen to it as much now because I work in, country
Yeah.
and don't get
Well,
a chance to.
it's just so funny because before I started writing songs, it's not even like I was really like listening to that music as much anymore. And I still don't necessarily like throw it on like when I'm at the gym or anything, but it's like when it comes on, I'm like, oh yes, this is
Yeah.
the good stuff, so it's in me.
It's that
So
wow song. It's that song that maybe you haven't heard in a while and you hear it and you're going, man, I haven't heard this in forever.
yeah, it's all that nostalgia that
Yeah.
comes back, and yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
So I think it's good.
So, if there was an artist, whatever genre, it doesn't matter. If there was an artist that you could have dinner with, let's say somebody that's passed, and you sat down to dinner with them, you had a conversation. Two questions: who would the artist be, and what would your first question be to them, or how would you start the conversation?
You say someone who's like passed away?
Right.
Oh, that's a good question. Man, I'd be curious what Kurt Cobain thinks about the state of music today. Probably that's what I'd ask him. I'd just say, what do you think about where music's at today and the what's transpired since you've left? That kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, probably him.
That's a good one. I mean, that's very insightful too to ask that kind of question because a lot of people wouldn't think about that, you know.
Yeah, because it's just he broke the mold of music in a certain way, and it's just yeah, I just would be like curious. Would he be like, yeah, every all creativity is good, or would he be like, no, it's all crap, and the
Yeah.
glory days are gone. Because to be honest, I very much, like I've mentioned, I have older influences, which let's face it, everyone wherever they grew up as in their teenage years, that's this that hits them the hardest.
Right.
But I'm someone who, because I've noticed friends too, even if they're talking about my music or whether they're talking about the older, they're like so nostalgic of the older stuff. They're like, yeah, man, but I liked when you did the older stuff. But then I notice they also don't listen to anything current in general, and I think that that's a sad thing because it's like there is a lot of great music out there, and I think it's like it's good to challenge yourself just to listen to new things and just to see if you like it. You might not like it as much as we grew up with, but like
Right.
hanging on to the past is also unhealthy, I think. Just to only listen to like what we grew up like, like things evolve and it's good to appreciate changes and new
Right.
things.
Right. And change is good. I mean, that's one of the things I don't think a lot of people care for is change. But if it's positive change, it's good. I'll say that. You know, if you're moving forward with the changes you're making, like and nothing against your relationship or anything like that, but like your move to Nashville, that change was good for you. I mean, look at where you're at now. And I'm assuming, and if I'm assuming wrong, please let me know. But it's like that is a positive thing for you. It was a good thing.
Yeah, well said. I like to write about relationships a lot too because all the relationships I've had in my past, I look back at them and I first remember the positive. So none of my songs are like tearing down an ex or anything like that because I think once once you fully process what you've gone through,
Mhm.
you sh- you really get to a point where like you're just grateful that everything's led you to where you are now. So I'm able to really like look at those things and write them with somewhat of a positive spin, I'd like to think, because that's really how I look at it. In no way am I ever sitting there being like, oh, I messed it up and I just wish I could. It's not that. It's very much the more people that we can meet and connect with in life, the better off we are. I just
Yeah,
truly believe that.
absolutely. I mean, and that's a very, very good point. Um, now I like thought provoking questions, as you can tell. I've already thrown a couple of them at you, and I have one more. Um, you have hit the pinnacle. You are going out on stadium tours across America. You get to handpick two artists to open for you. Does not matter what their status is in the eyes of people right now, but you get to ask two artists to open up for you on your huge stadium tour run. Who are those two artists going to be?
That's a very very hard question. There's there's like I mean that list is massive. But I would say let's just keep it in the country sphere. I'd say um I've always looked at a group like Parmalee, what they're doing. Um a band like that has kind of like shown me that like what I'm doing can and should be classified as country because it's
Right.
just the way that they blended where they come from. Another group is or another artist has been someone like a Mitchell Tenpenny who again had more of a rock background and stuff like that. Um, so while there's a million influences that I'd love to tour with, I'll just go with those two guys because I feel like they've like sort of like led the way for this
Right.
current time period, and have sort of like almost gave helped me give myself permission to like fully embrace it.
Right. Now, Parmalee, you've opened for.
Yeah.
You've opened for a friend of mine, Matt Stell. You've opened
Yep.
up for and others. I mean, just not to name drop, but just tell us a couple other people that you've opened up for.
Um, I actually that list is pretty short. I feel like I'm just now starting to get those opportunities.
Right.
Um, I don't think I've opened for any other national acts, but there'll be more to come for sure. Oh, I'm actually, you know what? I'm opening up for David Nail in May
All right.
In Tennessee. And actually, he's another one. I really, really, really like David Nail. When I was like back in the day, 2012, 2013, when I was just starting to get into country, like he was another one. I was like, oh man, I love that. Love his voice, love the sound he's got right now. Um, I definitely felt the connection with his music for sure.
Yeah. David and I have another huge connection. We're
Oh wow.
actually, I was born from the same town that his family's from in Southeast Missouri. And
Oh, okay.
have known our families knew each other along the way because his dad was the band teacher in Kennett for years. And also, I think he coached baseball as well because David played baseball in high school.
Okay.
Um, and David and I have had a conversation, and it started off. He was one of those that I thought he just wasn't very polite.
Mm-hmm.
But then we had a good conversation about 2 years later, and that opened my eyes up to a lot of things. And he was a super cool guy, that
Mm.
time. And so we talked about family and Kennett and all that. He's got I think he's got a EP called Boot Heel, which is where he's from, the
Okay.
Boot
Yeah.
Missouri.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, cool.
yeah, if you look at Missouri on the map, it's got that little
Oh,
hang down. That's the Boot Heel.
he's got something new. He's got a new song about St. Louis too.
Yeah.
That just came out.
Yeah, he's got, and I think he did another album, and I think he called it, I want to say it was the Boot Heel 2, but it was something else with the Boot Heel in it, I thought, but I can't remember. But I just saw that, and then I've been listening to a lot of the stuff he's had on Instagram and things like that, and
Yeah.
Spotify, and just he's one of my favorites. I mean,
Amazing. The voice on him is just unreal.
yeah,
But yeah,
and just such a cool dude too, man.
cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully getting to meet him at that show.
Yeah, and you'll enjoy it. I guarantee you will. So we kind of talked a little bit about what's going to happen tonight. And at midnight tonight, you got something super special. You're actually dropping another single. Now Live Without has been out there for a while. Well,
Yes.
you've released it.
No, so just to chime in real quick, this gap here is I try to release a song every 2 months. I'm actually going to be doing even quicker now for the
Okay.
first half of this year, and it's going to lead to an EP. So tonight will
Okay.
be the first of 4 or 5 songs for an EP. Yeah, so Live Without. It's so funny. I guess that was the latest original, and I can't believe that was like 6 months ago. So yeah,
Wow.
hopefully no time span like that will go by in the future. But yeah.
Right. And I didn't realize it had been that long. I noticed that it wasn't I didn't see it on your Spotify playlist. And so I thought, well, this is a brand new one,
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah,
usually
not
it
on
takes
there.
people. But you got the new one that's called Running in Place. And we're just going to tease them because there's a lot of people that are saying,
Nice.
"Oh, running in place, running in place, running in place."
Yeah.
We're just going to tease them, and they're going to hate me. Everybody's going to drop off now, so get ready. So here we go. Here's a little bit of Running in Place, and this is from Chris Moreno and b4 Nashville.
'Cause living without you is like running in place.
That's all you get.
Oh
Chris,
wow.
earlier, we're just going to tease them. And
Wow, short little clip.
I told you, I'm going to start getting hate mail now.
George, come on, give him. No, I'm just kidding.
That was I really, I listened to the whole song, and it is super good. The problem is I don't have it on my let's see here. I'm probably off the screen. Am I on the screen right now?
I can
Still?
see you.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me get over here and see if I can pull the whole thing up because I was teasing people with it and that was wrong, but it was kind of fun at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we're 2 hours away at this point. But
Yeah. So I'll give you a little bit more of it if
yeah.
this works out right. So we'll try this and see what happens. Okay.
I don't wanna spend the rest of my life pretending I don't love you, and the more that I try to carry on. Here we are in conversation, nothing's changed, and I'm still hanging on to every single word you say. Caught up in my frustration, my heart races that I'm chasing. Every time I hear your name, I don't wanna spend the rest of my life pretending I don't love you, and the more that I try to carry on, I can't outrun the pain that's inside, and I've been trying, but my heart's losing.
All right. So now, if you want to hear the rest of it, you're really going to have to go to or now. Are you releasing it on Spotify at midnight?
Yeah, it'll be everywhere.
Hang on, I dropped you. Go back.
Oh, yeah, it'll be everywhere.
Okay. So anywhere you get your music, there you go. I gave you more than a teaser. The teaser I thought was pretty good, and a lot of people were going, "All right."
I haven't seen him on there.
I had a couple of people that had the little crying face, and like, oh, and did have somebody say great teaser, but that was, I mean, that song is just, it's gonna blow up, man. It is gonna blow up. I'm telling you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. That's awesome to hear. I
Yeah.
I love big courses. I've always just I love, like, I don't know, just the bigger I can make a course, and that one seems to be popping. Like, it just, I don't know. I felt good once I got the finished product back on that one.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah. How much of the guitar work did you do on that one?
that was Justin. That actually I did the acoustics, I think, but my producer Justin, he's kind of like a one-man shop. He's doing everything,
Oh, okay.
drums and keyboards and all that. I will say, just I from the songwriting perspective, it was, for a while we didn't have the chorus starting off the song, and then after living with this song for like 9 months, I was like, wait, what if I just started it off? And I always wanted a song where the chorus starts off the top of the song, and I feel like it's just kind of it gave it this whole new element.
Right.
So yeah,
So
I'm kind of excited about that.
I was trying to find something here that I saw. Why is it not on here? I know I saw where is it listed under something else. No, I had your tour schedule up here and it has suddenly disappeared.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I could probably tell you off the top of my head. I have to update it.
I know Saturday you're at the Wild Horse in Nashville,
Yes. Yep.
and then I think you have a show after that, and then you're at Nash Vegas in Columbia for two shows.
Two shows. Yeah. Yeah. And, next weekend I'm in New Orleans. It's actually a charity event for veterans.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, really cool thing. I'm really honored that they asked me to go out and do it. So I'm going to be flying out to New Orleans for that one show, and then potentially some Boston dates in April, or Massachusetts dates, and the David Dale thing in May, Cooksville, Tennessee. So
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll book a bunch between that, but for now, that's that.
That's a lot of great shows, man. I mean, the shows in Columbia. My two boys live out in that area, and they're only probably about an hour and a half from Columbia, I would say, if that far.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I love
so
it out. I love it out there. I'm good buddies with the owner of that place, and it's
Oh.
just it's a cool college town, obviously, but it's great.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were, I was in, actually I was in Jeff City, visiting my son, my oldest son and his, wife and daughter, a couple months ago. And we talked about going on up to Columbia and we didn't make it up there. He was going to show me around, but I've heard about, you know,
Do you go to the Ozarks at all?
yeah, we go out there quite a bit. He lives in
Yeah.
Elton, which is like just north of Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah, I
And
love it. I was there this summer
oh,
for the
did you
weekend.
play at Shady Gators or anywhere like that out there? Or you just
I actually just played at this really like more chill spot. It was called um oh man, I'm trying to blank. Frogs something. I can't remember the name of it.
okay?
Um it's
Uh,
a pretty popular spot. I have a photo somewhere.
mm.
But yeah, it was like a cool place, like right on the water and all that. Um Man, I wish wasn't drawing a blank on the spot, but
Yeah, that's kind of the way I
pause.
am. I know it'll come to me here in a minute. Um, Frogs Bar and Grill. That doesn't sound right.
No,
Sh-
here it is. Here we go. Frankie and Louie's, not frogs. Frankie and
Okay.
Louie's.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah.
because I knew there was a couple other places out there that that kind of had that name, and I couldn't think of what it was. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, Shady Gators is a good place, and I
Yeah.
go here and
It's a
I,
wild place, man. I like it there. It's fun. It's
it's
right up my alley.
it
I
is
like it.
crazy.
Yeah.
I I'd like to get out there and see a lot of artists play there because they have like that outdoor amphitheater,
I know they get a
and
lot of people out there. Yeah.
yeah, and they have a pool in front of the amphitheater. I mean,
I
come on,
know. Yeah. It's awesome.
how is that not cool?
Yeah.
So
That's how you do it.
you watch the concert, you get cooled off. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But now, if they want to find out anything about you, which it looks like most everybody on here knows quite a bit, probably more about you than I do. Um, where do they go to find out all things Chris Moreno?
I do have a website. I try to keep that up to date, but Instagram is more or less my hub. And then I'm on every platform, but Instagram's just where I spend the most time. So
All right.
yeah, Chris Moreno Music is the handle everywhere. So
Yeah, we've got it up there. Just
you
type
got it out
that
there, yeah.
in, Google it. Thanks, Linda. Uh, Linda said Google.
Yeah, there you go.
You you have got some fantastic fans, man. I'll tell you that, and they're
I
fun.
do. I know they're awesome. Oh, they're hilarious. That's I laugh, on the lives. I try not to laugh, but they keep me laughing. Yeah, I go back and read the comments sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sharon says come back to North Carolina soon.
Oh yeah, I have North Carolina booked at the end of April. I got to update my dates, but yeah, I'll be there in April and then again in May actually, I think. So
All right, Sharon, if you got that,
coming
he'll be
back,
there in April. So
coming back.
just have to watch. And I for one, I appreciate all your fans being on. I think that's fantastic. I love when the fans of the artist are on here because,
Yeah.
like I said, they know. I mean, they followed you. They're the ones I need to go to beforehand to find out all the dirt.
Oh, I
And
know. Yeah,
then,
it's true.
then
Yeah.
that way you can have some good stuff to bring up.
Well,
Like
I don't have a Wikipedia page yet, so yeah, you want to just go to my top fans and they'll
right.
tell they'll tell you.
Ask him, has he ever ripped his pants on stage? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's funny because I just through all the lives, like I'm not an oversharer, but if you ask the right questions, I won't lie. So it's like, you know what I mean? So you can get dirt eventually on me. I'll just tell you it myself. So
right.
yeah.
Linda says you're a sweetheart and there's not a lot of dirt. So
Uh,
so but again, we appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, man. It's been so awesome to talk to you.
yeah,
Uh,
likewise, George. Yeah. Yeah.
these are the kinds of things I like. It's an interview, but it turned into a conversation. I don't know what your February schedule looks like. We're going to be down there in February, the week of the 22nd through the 26th.
Oh, okay. Are you just bar hopping, seeing shows or?
No, it's actually I'm in radio and we have a big radio conference
Oh,
that week.
right. Yeah.
I'm going to have my portable podcast gig or rig down there with me. So I'll be doing a few
Oh,
interviews there and if I run into you, we can do something on the spot too,
Yeah, please do. Please shoot me a message on Instagram if you're
Yeah.
around. And
Yeah. We'll be down there the 22nd. We're pretty much free. We'll be down there the afternoon of the 22nd, and then we're leaving the Sunday after. But the 23rd through the 25th is the conference.
okay,
So we're leaving the 27th to come back. The 26th, we're wide open. So if you're playing on the 26th, then we're definitely
crap.
going
That's actually my brother's getting married in Florida the 24th to the 26th. Yeah, that's not a good timing. I'll be there the 22nd, but that's after that. I'm heading out to Florida for a little weekend out there. But
yeah, Stephanie Lawrence says CRS. Yes, it is CRS.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's country radio seminar, but if you've ever been around a bunch of radio people, CRS has a dual meaning, and I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, I bet. I can imagine.
I'm not going to say what it is, but if
Yeah.
you've been there, you understand.
Yeah.
So, Chris, again, man, it was awesome to talk to you. I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to at some point getting to see you. I don't know, maybe since you're in Columbia on that weekend at Nash Vegas, we may just have to make a trip to Columbia and check
Okay.
there. Yeah.
Well, if you please do, it was great talking to George, and yeah, definitely message me so I can get you the VIP treatment in the dive bar, so I can get you a little section there. Yeah.
Hey, we love our dive bars, and we're not opposed to jumping in the car and making a road trip.
Cool. Sounds good. We love it.
All right. So coming up Monday night, I've got Sarah Harrelson on the show. I'm looking forward to talking to her. And you can find out more about that episode coming up here pretty soon. But until then, you guys have a fantastic evening. Thanks for hanging out with me again before Nashville, introducing the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today. So everybody have a great night. Chris, we'll talk to you later, buddy.
All right. We'll see you. Thanks, guys.